Hi everyone! Ding 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 ding! Welcome to Makoti Chronicles. I am Cathy and Sibeko. Welcome back to Makoti Chronicles. I am Cathy M. Sibeko. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in on our introduction video. And you know what to do with this one. Like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. And don't forget to hit on the notification bell. So, today's topic, we talking marry reality and the one. Let's get straight into it. A good man is a good man with or without you. He's a man full of integrity. He treats people well. He doesn't double cross people. His character speaks volumes, and he treats people in a manner that he would also like to be treated. He's full of love. He's full of compassion, and he's also very mindful of others. So what I'm trying to say to you is that don't marry potential, but marry reality, and do not ignore the red flags, because usually they are there, and we tend to find ourselves in situations that were never meant for us to begin with. So when someone shows you that, hey, I am purple, don't make an excuse and say, no, actually they are blue, in hopes that actually they will change. Because what happens in marriage, it doesn't fix dysfunction, it usually just reveals it. So be true to yourself. Don't make excuses. Don't compromise who you are. Don't compromise your values and what you believe in. And you also need to remember that there's a lot that looks like love, calls itself love, acts like love, but isn't really love. Meaning there's a lot that glitters, but isn't gold. I don't know if that makes sense. So not everything that comes across as true usually is true, if that makes sense. And you need to be mindful in your waiting season. Don't see it as I'm running out of time, because as humans we tend to put time frames on when we'd like certain things to happen, but actually that waiting season is your preparation season. It is your time to get to know yourself better. It is your time to be that, you know, a lot of times we want so much out of another person that we don't even give ourselves. So it gives you that time to also give yourself everything that you want the next person to do. So don't let, don't wait for a person to complete you, but fully be content in who you are. Get to know yourself better. Spend that time with God, because it truly is that time to also get to hear the Holy Spirit, you know, talking to you and aligning you with what you want, especially when it's that time for you to meet the one that God has for you. And if you are in the waiting season, please embrace this time. It's a very important time. It's a very important time to get closer to God as well, to understand yourself better, fall in love with yourself. Don't see it as you running out of time, because as humans, we tend to put time frames on when we'd like certain things to happen. But when you are in the season, just know that everything is gonna work out perfectly, because you've got God in control. You've got God preparing you and the one that He has for you. And how do you know you've met the one? He will not compare to anyone that you've ever met. He will not compare to anything you could ever imagine as well. And you'll understand why it's so important to leave the choice to God, because at the end of the day, He gives His best to those who leave the choice to Him. So how did I know that my husband was the one, and how we met? My husband and I, well, he's he stayed a street before my house, you know. We were friends for the longest time, like years, I think, since 2004, 2005. And he'd always pass hints when we're growing up, you know. And I'd be like, yo, this guy, you know. And in my head, I'd be thinking, what's up with the chasing, dude? And my mind was just not there because I literally saw him as my friend. And I was laughing the other day when I came across a Facebook memory on him writing on my wall and saying a lot of things. And I'm like, dang, like he's been at it, like he's been persistent, you know. But long story cut short, we grew up in the same neighborhood. He stayed a street before mine. And how I knew he was the one, I remember I was single for quite some time after a hectic heartbreak. And what's funny is that I remember at times he'd always say to me, when I was okay, you know, I was okay, and I'd be like, yo, this guy, like, he's here, guys, you know, maybe he's trying to get in. And I remember when I had a dream, actually. I had a dream about this, and at the time I didn't really think much of it, but I know it was in a season where I was spending a lot of time with God, and I was always like pouring my heart out and letting him in on my heart's desires and wanting to really understand what his plans. Hey guys, there's a fly here. Yeah, and it's basically like up and down, it's disturbing me, and I'm like, yo, you know. But I had a dream, and I remember one day I was going for a jog and he called, and I was like, yo, I'm not around, I've gone to gym, you know. And I stepped outside. When I stepped outside, here's this guy by my gate, and I'm like, for real? And I just lied. I just said I'm not home, and this guy's at my gate. And then I asked my sister to open, and I went out, and I'm like, yo, dude, I'm going for my jog, you know. And he was like, no, let's go get something to eat. And I'm like, no, I'm going for a jog, you know. And he was like, no, let's go get amakota. And I'm like, no, I'm going for a jog, I'm trying to maintain, and here you are like offering me a gota, you know. And I was like, whatever it is, what it is. So we bought amakota, and while we're chilling, he was busy going on, and we had like interesting conversations. So walking back, I remember he held my hand, and I was like, hey, yo, what are my grandparents gonna say? They're gonna be like, yo, they're on the street holding hands with some boy. So no, I don't want that. And we walked all the way to my house, and we got outside, and I was like, okay, thank you, bye. And I didn't even jog. And when I walked away, he was like, Cathy, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, I love you. And I'm like, yeah, sure, like, I love you too, man. And he was like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, hi, bro, I'm serious. And I asked my sister to open the gate for me, and I walked in, and that was that. I think around 9 that night. Oh, by the way, when I walked in, my sister was like, and then Gota, you know. And I was like, ish, you know. I explained what happened, and she was like, yo guys, this fly. And she was like, I think that guy is cute, you know. And I was like, no, you know, like whatever. Around 9 that night, I remember he sent me a text, and he was like, hey, you know what I said earlier? I'm like, what did you say? And was like, I said I love you. I'm like, oh yeah, I said I love you too, like you're my homeboy, you know. And was like, no, I'm serious, like I really do love you. And I was like, yeah, like whatever. And in my head I'm thinking, yo God, here's this one trying to disturb this path that you and I are on, you know, because I know what I'm praying for. And here's this guy coming, and he's busy declaring his undying love, you know. And I was like, hey dude, I have to go sleep. Oh, and he used to get annoyed, guys, because he'd always send me a text. maybe on a Monday, I'll reply on a Friday. And when he'd see me, like, yeah, here's this girl, hey, this girl, yes, Jayla, you know, and I'd be like, dude, get out of here, you know. And then following day, I was in the choir at church, by the way. Yes. So I went to choir practice, and on my way, I get a call from an 011 number, and I'm like, who's this? But I'm thinking, hey, it might be a client. And I answer, I'm like, Cathy's phone, hello. And it's like, no, you must say, baby, hello. And I'm like, yo, guys, here's this guy again, you know? And I'm like, yo, hey, how are you? He's like, yeah, no, you must say, hello, baby. And I'm like, okay, hey, how are you? And we spoke and spoke. He asked where I am. I told him, and then he was like, no, when you get back, let me know, and we can meet. And I was like, hey, this guy, you know? And then I went home, and then on my way, I'm like, let me just tell him, you know? And Vele, he met up with me, and then we had a little chat again, and some lady passed. And when the lady passed, she was like, yo, Lipila Juan, like, you guys look good, you know, like, look good together. And he was like, you see, like, listen to that. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, you know, like, I know what I'm praying for. I know what I want. I know what God and I are talking about, you know. And I went home that night. I told my sister again. But at the same time, I was like, hi, man, God, why am I feeling high? Is this high? Why is this guy like, nah, man, it can't be. Why am I feeling this way? You know, and I remember I prayed about it because I was like, Lord, I don't want anything that will disturb what you truly have for me. So if he is, then show me, confirm it. Do that one thing that I'm praying for, and I will know that this is the guy. Ha! Guys, I went to bed that night. I'm sleeping. I remember I had another dream about this guy. I'm not gonna go into like, you know, like deep, but I had a dream, and it was being confirmed, you know. And I remember God saying, like, you know what, I see you doubting, I see you this, I see you that, but hey, trust me with this one, because I chose him, you know, I chose him for you. And I was like, what? And I remember like God repeating, you know, and it's almost as if we're having a chat like this, you know. I could see him type of thing. And I remember the morning, it was on the 10th of January 2015. I called him. I was like, hey, when you get back from work, can we chat, you know? And he came, we spoke. Then I was like, I want to show you something, because I always write letters to God. And I was like, I want to show you something. He was like, oh, okay, cool. Then I took out this letter. I was like, can you please read that last part, you know? And he read it, and he was like, yo. And I was like, yeah, so about what you said, did you mean it? He was like, yeah, like, I really do love you. I want to be with you. I've always liked you, always thought you were this cool kid, even though he thought I was a snob at some point, you know. And I was like, if that's really how you feel, then hey, like, and if God is confirming it, I'm for it, you know. So let's do this. And he was happy, I was happy, I had butterflies. Like, it was wild. It was, I couldn't even explain it, because when I got in the house, I was all smiles. And my sister and my grand were like, and then Kinkao. And in my head, I'm thinking, mama, I'm from my jog, because now every time I go jogging, it was the time I got to actually see him and like chat. So the jogging, it didn't happen anymore. And that was the last time, guys, I ever jogged. Seriously, I stopped jogging 2015. I just tried again like recently. I think it lasted for like 2 weeks. But I always say, I'm like, hi babe, you know, I used to like jog. I was fit. I was, you know, super healthy. And then you came. Manja, I don't even jog or anything. And I remember first, I think it was the second day now of our relationship, we're sitting down, and he asked me, he's like, when do you want to get married? And I was like, married? I'm like, oh, I always wanted to get engaged at 24, married at 25, have my first kid at 26, probably have my second kid at 28, 29, you know. And it was like, okay, cool. But I told him, like, no, my sister's still in school, so I don't you want to get married now? I want to wait for her to finish, you know, like a lot of things. And he was like, so you want to, he asked me, how old is your sister? And I told him, and he was like, okay, cool. Guys, everything we spoke about, everything he said he would do, he did. Because I remember we dated 2015, 2016, August, he came Ekaya, and 2017 Jan, he finished off everything. We had our traditional wedding. So how do you know he'll do exactly what he says he will do, when he will do it? Because remember, God is not a man that he should lie. So he will never bring you someone else that will keep taking you around in circles, who'll keep saying, Ngizovela, I'm gonna bring my uncles, I'm gonna do this, and then the time comes and it doesn't happen again. Yes, life happens, and you'll also know when someone is being genuine about their intentions. Maybe when they actually put a time frame on, I want to do this at a time like this, and maybe life happens and it doesn't go as planned, you will also understand, because you'll also be in the same boat with that person. But there's just people who will play you, who will drag you along. So you need to be wise, you need to ask for wisdom, you need to be able to hear the Holy Spirit, you know, speaking to you. You need to be able to be in tune with yourself, because remember, the devil also knows what you're praying for. So it's very easy to bring something that looks exactly like what you're praying for. Therefore, you need to take time, step back, and wait for God to say yes before you can say yes. I just realized actually that I really didn't go into detail about the first dream I had and the significance of him holding my hand when we were walking. You remember that I was supposedly jogging. So what happened in the dream I had, I remember it's like I was having a heart-to-heart. Oh, shout out to Lungi. Hey, if you're watching. Lungi is my old time friend. I remember telling her about this dream, and she was like, were you really talking to God? I was like, girl, it felt like I was talking to God, because I've never ever felt anything like that. I've never felt so complete and so whole, you know. And so in the stream, we had a heart-to-heart with God, and we're talking. And then when I was walking away, there was this guy holding my hand, you know. And I tried looking at his face, but I couldn't get it. All I remember was, oh, he's light-skinned. And we walked down, and I was like, wait, so you're my husband? And I think that's my daughter, guys. Yeah, I was like, is that my husband? And are you my husband? And he said, yes. And I was like, what? Actually, God just told me about you now, you know. And I was happy. So that's the significance. But obviously, at that time, when it was happening, I really didn't think much of it, because I didn't think that the one could be a street away. And funny enough, my grand's husband as well was just a street away from her. So it was almost as if it's history repeating itself. So I got a couple of questions last week sometime, and last week actually. So I thought, hey, it would be cool to have this part at the end of every video, you know, where I get to answer the questions that you guys have. So the first question was, is there such a thing as you're too young for marriage? No, I don't think you're too young for, there's such a thing as you're too young for marriage, because you could be 40, you know, get married and probably doesn't end well, or you could get married at 20 and it lasts a lifetime. So no, I don't think there's a age, you know. And back in the days, we know our grandparents, great-grandparents used to get married at like 16, 17, 18. So no, I don't think there's such a thing as you're too young for marriage. And then, how do you handle conflict with your spouse? This one was tricky, guys. I also had a lot of learning to do, you know. I remember my mother-in-law would always say, Sisima ukwata, ukwate, but you must kwata with respect. And I'd be like, how do you kwata with respect? When you're angry, you're angry. There's no, hey, when you're angry, you're angry. You know, there's no, kwata with respect. I didn't understand. So it took time, still learning, you know, because no one is perfect, but you guys just need to find common ground and probably just set it for yourselves that, you know what, as much as we fight, we don't get nasty. As much as we fight, we don't call each other names, which is quite hard, but it's doable, and it takes time and commitment. How did I meet my husband? I just said, dealing with in-laws who aren't so nice towards you. Yo, ish. Yeah, this one, you need to be sober-minded when you're dealing with this. And to keep it short, because I don't want to give too much away, because we're still going to talk about it, I'll just say, be mindful of your purpose within that family. Yeah. There is so much negativity around marriage. What are the positives? I think it depends on who you also probably maybe following, or the couples that you are looking at, because I'd say there's a lot of positivity around marriage. Yes, we see a lot of divorces lately amongst our generation or our youth, but we shouldn't now take that and put it in our lives and make it about us. There's so much negativity, or because every marriage is different and it works because you want it to work. It's beautiful because you make it beautiful. It's beautiful because you decide every single day that, hey, we're going to choose each other. We're going to water it. And remember, the grass is always greener where it's watered. You know what I mean? So there are, yes, and remember also, the media will only show most of the time what's bad, you know, and hardly the good. So maybe as well follow more couples that speak more positivity about marriage and portray it and also live it out. I hope that answers you. And the next one was, I would love to hear a collabo of you, us, the followers, sharing our real stories and experiences. Definitely we'll go live and we'll all just get to chat about it, or I'll also invite someone else here and we can have that experience and talk about it. So it is in the pipeline, it will happen. And then someone asked for my morning routine. Yo, it's hectic, but we'll definitely get to it. And then someone asked the importance of premarital counseling. So my husband and I had quite a short one. It was quite short, but within that period we actually learned, and I'm realizing now the importance of it, because you need to go in your marriage with no baggage. Because remember, now you can't build on baggage, you can't build on past traumas. So it's very important to go through that premarital counseling. It will cover a lot of things. It will cover as well your in-laws, finances, infidelity, your household, parenting, finances. It will cover the works, but it's very important. And I also realize now that you can still go back, you know, to your marriage counselors and still talk about it, still talk more about whatever that you're facing or whatever you feel still needs to be covered within your marriage. But how important is it? It is extremely important, especially before you move in and stay together, because the moment you move in with someone, you see a totally different side of them compared to what you see when you guys are still dating. Example, I love the toilet seat closed, you know, and my husband doesn't mind with the toilet seat being open. So such things, you know, could easily become huge factors in your marriage. But yeah, it's very, 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 very important. I needed this platform. Thank you so much. That's all I'm here to say. It would be cool to feature your husband and have a Q&A. I'll try. I wanted him actually on today to talk about how we met and everything, and he was like, no babe, I'm not ready, but I'll try. I'll convince him. Why does it sometimes feel like a challenge to keep a relationship longer these days? I think it's because people don't have the patience. People don't have the heart anymore. We all want the complete package, the beautiful package, but we're not willing to work at it. We're not willing to put in the effort. You know, after one disagreement or a couple of disagreements, it's like, you go your way, I go my way. Like, it is what it is, like a lot of people say, but it's actually not true. You need to put in work, because at the end of the day, it is what you make it to be. You need to make a decision each and every day, and that choice that, you know what, I'm choosing my partner no matter what. But don't get me wrong, this a lot of times when you're married, then you can say, you know what, I'm choosing my partner and I'm going to make it work. But in a relationship, if you can see that I care, I'm begezeling, because a lot of people will begezela for the njolo, but they don't want to begezela for the marriage, you know. And I never really get it. But you need to be patient, you need to be willing to put in the work, you need to be committed, and you guys need to both be on the same page, because it cannot work when the other wants to make it work and the other one is just like, it is what it is. Yeah. So guys, that's it for the day. Catch me again next Wednesday. I'm out of here.